Ladies and gentlemen, the information we are going to provide for you this evening is very preliminary information and certainly is subject to change as the investigation unfolds. But I'm going to introduce you to two boys, and that's what they are. Our suspect is Dylan Murray. He is 16 years of age and he lives in this community. He's homeschooled. Our victim is Giovanni Diaz. He's a Hispanic male and he's 15 years of age. He's in 8th grade and he goes to Frostproof Middle School, or he did up until and through today. This afternoon, and we don't know why yet, Dylan Murray was able to convince Giovanni Diaz to go into this wooded area, ostensibly to play. We have no details on what was supposed to occur in there today. However, once they were in the woods, Dylan viciously beat and killed Giovanni with a baseball bat. A witness who happened to be in the area saw Dylan come from the woods, and Dylan made the statement, "I hit my friend with a baseball bat." And the witness said, "Well, you need to go home and dial 911. And that's what he did. The suspect went home, dialed 911, and I'm paraphrasing because we haven't heard the 911 tape yet, and said that he had hit his friend with a baseball bat and he thought he was dead. Of course, deputies immediately responded, and this was just before 3 p.m. this Monday afternoon. And when the first deputy arrived and made contact with Dylan, our suspect, he told the deputy that he wailed on Giovanni with a bat. Of course, our deputies came to the scene when the suspect ran home and dialed 911. The witness went into the woods and found our victim, Giovanni, and found he was in fact deceased. There's a baseball bat there, and it was more than evident that Giovanni had been absolutely murdered, and murdered by this suspect who admitted hitting him or beating him with a baseball bat. We don't have any further details at this point in time. I can tell you that we obviously have our suspect, Dylan Murray, in custody. He's at our Southeast District. Our homicide detectives are split between there and the scene where we're working the death scene in the woods. So the investigation will go on throughout the night, and we hope to release more information to you tomorrow. I've talked to the mother of the victim, and she is, as you would expect, absolutely totally crushed. We know that our victim has absolutely no previous run-ins with the law, according to the initial check that we did. We also know that our suspect 2 years ago was charged with 2 counts of battery for battering our victim, and that would have been when the victim was about 13 years of age and the suspect was 14 years of age. We see another count of domestic battery that our suspect committed about a year ago in 2017, March of 2017, where he battered his father. So our suspect apparently has 3 earlier charges of battery, 2 of which were against our victim about 2 years ago, and one of those charges last year against his father. So the investigation goes on. I'll try to answer any questions, but whatever you ask me, I probably don't have an answer.
I know you're still trying to sort this out. Are these friends? Do these appear to be friends?
Well, the suspect referred to them as friends. I certainly don't think the victim's family would see it that way now.
Do you know how they knew each other? Do you think there's...
They live in the neighborhood. They all live in this community. So, and they have known each other for an extended period of time. Like I said, any details at all, we don't know. This investigation just got underway just before 3 p.m. this afternoon, and we will be asking all of those obvious questions that you have as well. So I can tell you this, we are obviously heartbroken anytime anybody's a victim of a murder. It's a tragedy. When it's a 15-year-old child, you multiply that times 1,000. We don't know why our suspect hit him with a bat, and it appears multiple times. But I can tell you this, that there's ample evidence to clearly indicate, by our suspect's own admissions, that Dylan hit Giovanni several times and obviously left him for dead in the woods.
And Sheriff, he hasn't said why.
We're still talking to him now, and that's what we're trying to figure out, what exactly is his statements. And then, of course, when you're talking about, beating your best friend to death with a baseball bat, you've got to take that in the context in which it's presented and by the position he is right now. And that's, quite frankly, he's got a lot of explaining to do. Of course, you cannot successfully explain that away.
Did he always tell deputies the same story, or did he?
It's too early in the investigation to know that, because the deputies that heard the initial story haven't had a chance to talk to the homicide detectives who are working the scene and also working with Dylan up at the district station. But all of that will come together later throughout the evening.
And Sheriff, you mentioned a witness. Is that somebody who heard something, saw
there's
something?
a witness in the neighborhood that actually saw our suspect Dylan come out of the woods. And when he came out of the woods, he made the statement that he hit his friend with a baseball bat. And he said, well, you need to go home and dial 911. The witness ran into the woods to see if he could be of some help. And he found our victim, Giovanni, deceased, obviously deceased from being beat with a baseball bat. And our suspect did what the witness told him to. He went home and dialed 911 and told the 911 operator, and I'm paraphrasing because we haven't heard it, that he hit his friend with a baseball bat and he thought he might be dead. Deputies arrived, and once again, the suspect told our deputies that he wailed on the victim with a baseball bat.
Sheriff, again, why they went into the woods?
Have no idea.
Any indication that this was a premeditated attack?
Have absolutely no idea. Obviously, they've known each other for a long time. Maybe they put bygones to the side, and it was after school, and they went into the woods to play. I mean, kids do that. Obviously, there was a more sinister motive on the part of the suspect, but it would be premature for us to speculate about what occurred, why they went there, and what obviously occurred. And you'll have to take what the suspect says and match that with the physical evidence to determine the difference in truth and fiction, because obviously we expect, as they do every time, paint yourself in the best possible light. But there is no good light for the way this 15-year-old child was killed.
Do you have any details about that previous battery charge?
Not yet. Now, tomorrow we'll be able to pull the reports and certainly should be able to give you more detailed. But there were three charges of battery. I understand March of 17, it was against his father for domestic violence. March of 15 or thereabouts, there was 2 counts of battery, and our victim today was the victim before. So what occurs after tonight is a detailed follow-up investigation. We'll be looking at records. We'll be looking at historical data to see what happened. But right now, at this point in time, I just talked to a grieving mother, and you have no idea how difficult that is, to talk to a mother who's lost her 15-year-old son, and by our records has never had any problems at all.
Was there any chance that Giovanni could have made it out of this alive?
No, Giovanni could not have survived the injuries that was thrust upon him by Dylan.
Do we know in the previous battery charge how that victim might have been hurt or?
Have no idea tonight. Hopefully by tomorrow, when we get through the initial phases of this, we'll obviously go into our record section and pull the the reports, and that may give you some historical perspective. But we have absolutely no idea what, if there was conflict, you certainly wouldn't think Giovanni would have gone in the woods with him. So I suspect that Giovanni had no idea anything was wrong. I don't know what happened in the woods yet. Certainly we're going to give our suspect Dylan the opportunity to explain that to us.
Is it too early to say what charges he's facing or if he'll be charged as an adult?
It's too early to say exactly the charges, but certainly they will be some form of murder charge and additional charges. And obviously the state attorney evaluates each case, and that's their decision on how the case proceeds, whether it stays in juvenile court, goes to adult court, and whether or not, when it goes to adult court, whether or not it's a death penalty case. So the reality is we're a long way from any of that. We've got to first find out what happened in the woods this afternoon, and that's what the detectives are doing right now.
Sheriff,
Okay.
Giovanni's family also lives in this neighborhood?
Yes, they all live in the neighborhood, both the suspect, the victim, and obviously their families. And it breaks our heart, and we're angry. We're angry that we've got a 15-year-old child, and that's what he is. When you're our age, he's a 15-year-old child that's dead because he was beat to death with a bat this afternoon. And there is no reasonable excuse for that at all. Zero, none.
Sheriff, are you shocked by the brutality of it and then the person's nonchalant attitude afterwards?
Well, do you know, I am shocked anytime anyone's murdered, because the most precious thing we have is our life. But then when someone murders a 15-year-old child, and that's what occurred this afternoon, that child is dead, and at least the initial information is it's a murder. And it should never have happened. So why were they in the woods? I don't know. Obviously, common sense tells you if Giovanni's scared of him, he's not going to go in the woods with someone with a baseball bat. Were they down here to play and they decided to go in the woods? I don't know. Kids play in the woods, and I understand this lot here is a place that the kids periodically play baseball. So the investigation goes on, and we'll have details tomorrow. And as you all know, when we talk to you very quickly after an investigation, anything I say here is subject to change as we discover more witnesses and conduct more investigations. Okay? Thank you all very much. Take care.